It was just, 2 years ago we were saying, well, this is the best division in all of football.
Yeah.
And now 2 years later, we're like, well, all these teams got some serious questions.
Yeah.
Let's start with the
Changes
Cowboys.
fast.
Let's start with the Cowboys here, and we'll start with NMFCB. Got a question.
Yeah.
I'm so puzzled to see the Cowboys starting this year without a stud running back. Elliott, Deuce Vaughn, and Royce Freeman are not running back ones on any team. How do you see this Dallas offense work without one? Running back by committee?
Definitely in the running for there's to me it's burning. There's two questions with Dallas, and that's one of them. They're like, yeah. I mean, listen, we could all talk about, okay, hey, who's the third receiver that pops up for them or has a presence, right? I think that's one question. So maybe I'm a little wrong there. Just say there's three that kind of popped in my head.
Yeah.
Okay. The offensive line reshuffled a little bit, whatever, but I don't sit there and look at it and go, oh, man, they're in deep trouble. There's still a lot of good there. Okay, and I know we got a rookie that we got to see how he plays. I get all that, right? But, they addressed it, and I don't think it's like a burning question, right? So now we've hit on who's the third receiver. The next thing would be, a little bit of your interior D-line. There's no Malik Collins. Does Mazi Smith take the next step? Because last year was not impressive, right? I liked him coming out in the draft. We talked about him a lot. He's huge. He's a really good athlete. He was not good last year.
He's too big to be pushed around like he was.
Exactly right. And that continued in the NFL, just like we talked about in college, where you're just like, there's too many plays where you're too good to be this, letting guy move you like this, right? So that is definitely part of it, okay? But the running back thing to me is by far the number one question, right? I mean, Ezekiel Elliott is a backup running back for everybody in the NFL except the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, I'm not trying to be a jerk. Zeke Elliott is the man. He's had a great career. Man, when he came into the NFL, I mean, sometimes I see old Cowboy games, his first few years in the NFL or his last year at Ohio State, and you just go, oh, my gosh, Ezekiel Elliott was so good. I don't think we even really appreciate it, right? But not right now. No. Is he good in short yardage? Do I want him to get the ball on the 2-yard line going in for a touchdown? Sure. But you know my thoughts about him. There's just too many plays where you go, wait, there's 30 yards to be had if he could just make this guy miss or turn the corner or whatever. And there's not at a point of his career where he can do that. So that would be, I think is definitely my biggest burning question with the Dallas Cowboys is, are they going to be able to rely on somebody making more with less out of the run game? Or is it just going to be, we got to throw it at every play with Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb, and that's just what we're going to do. And then we're going to have to pay CeeDee Lamb $75 million a year because he's going to have every catch for our team, right? That's what I worry about. The other thing, the other position just to hit on other than third receiver and running back, and we've talked about this, they addressed it a little bit, but I still think it's is their middle linebacker part too. We talked about it all last year. The middle part of their defense is a question. It's a question, right? And you talk about Mazi Smith and Eric Kendricks, who's way up there in age, and Damone Clark right now is their starting linebackers, right? Those are things that I'm like, well, I'm not blown away by that.
Yeah.
But I think the running back thing is the biggest thing.
It's a team that has been there and close and playoff.
12 wins 3 years in a row.
But you're like, what have they done to get over the hump?
Exactly.
How are they better? I mean, the numbers, overall, they were 5th in yards last year offensively. They were 5th in yards defensively, too. So they were top 5, both offensively and defensively last year. I found this interesting, though. They were not great on either side on goal-to-go situations. So they scored only 64% touchdowns down there, which was 22nd.
Too basic
or
on
26th
offense.
in the NFL. And defensively, they gave up 80%.
Too basic on defense. Oh, play man-to-man every play. Well, they're a team there I'd go, wait, you're allowed to play zone. Let's figure out a zone. It's too much of that. Let alone, I think you could run on them a little bit too if they did want to play coverage because they weren't good enough in the middle part of the defense.
Yeah.
So that hurt them, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, the Cowboys, for all that and what you've said right there, right? And, top 5 this, top 5 that. I think they were very fortunate last year with the way the schedule worked out. I think they feasted on the poor.
Yeah.
That would be my assessment last year. The NFC East was not nearly as good. They got to play the AFC East, which was, okay, New England and the Jets were disasters, right? Miami was their cup of tea. Wait, team that's not very tough that just wants to play an open, fast football game. Okay, and they lost that, right? And that was our question. Just like Miami, can they win any gritty, tough football games? Can Dallas do that? They got their ass blown out by the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo late in the season, right? Super Bowl teams don't lose 31-10 in December.
Right.
And so that's where I think they're a little misleading. I do think they feasted on the poor and weren't so good against the rich last year.
Jonte says, Chris, can you talk about CeeDee Lamb's value? Kind of weird that no one has come knocking for him or Dallas hasn't made an offer yet. Seems like the league isn't that high on him.
But I've been trying to say this on PFT. I know you've heard me say this, right? It's a really good observation by you at Jonte, right? I wouldn't want to pay CeeDee Lamb top-tier market money. He's really good, don't get me wrong. But would I want to pay him the top receiver in football, A.J. Brown type of money? I'm just going to say this right here. I would take Devontae Smith over CeeDee Lamb. I would. I have more faith that Devontae Smith outside one-on-one will run by people for a big play more than CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb needs a little of the system to help him. He can't just line up and go, I'm going to beat you all the game long, best corners in football. That's not what he is. He doesn't have enough pure speed and physical explosion that way, right? So, and to my point of that is I do think the league feels that way. I've had talks about this ever since the Combine, right? This was a thing going on where when you bring up Dallas, they go, I wouldn't want to have to pay CeeDee Lamb that, right? Right? And that's why I brought up a few weeks ago with Dallas, right? And it seems like he's probably waiting for big money. And because they've made him so the number one target and they have nobody else really that they feature in the offense, his stats are out of this world good, right? There's all of that. So they've backed themselves into a corner here a little. And that's going to be the interesting situation. But like I told you a few weeks ago, right, with the Brandon Ayuk thing we talked about on the podcast, like to me, if I was Dallas, I'd be like, go tell like our AJ Brown conversation. AJ Brown got traded for the 17th pick and got a brand new contract. Give me a team that's going to do that for you. And then we'll talk about the number. If you show me the team that will do that for you, then we'll start talking about that same number for you from us, right? And it doesn't seem like Dallas is willing to have these hard conversations with their players at times. But I mean, it might be too late now, but I would have already done that. And to Jonte's point, I'm not as high on CeeDee Lamb as the rest of the world is, and I don't think the NFL is either.
Pete has backed up your claims on the Cowboys feasting on the week once again. They were 9-1 last year versus non-playoff teams. They were 3-4 versus playoff teams, and those 3 wins were the Eagles, who were
falling apart.
The Lions, when Dan Skipper reported eligible, and then he did not, but actually thought he did. Yeah. Rams, all at home, too. So those are the 3 playoff teams they beat.
Yeah, and they beat the Rams. That was like early in the year, if I remember, right? I mean, the Rams were still figuring. It was week 8 as I pull up the schedule here. So the Rams weren't themselves either. If they caught the Rams at the end of the year, they're going to lose to the Rams. Yo, what's up? Thanks for watching, homies. You know it's the offseason, but there's no offseason with Chris Simms Unbuttoned. It's the NFL. It goes all year around, all right? So hit subscribe, please, to hear my thoughts on your favorite team, your favorite quarterback, and, hey, how this season might unfold as we get ready for the 2024 season. We got a better picture, clearer look now that the draft is over, free agency. We know who's playing quarterback for certain teams. So, again, thanks for watching, and remember to subscribe. Peace out, homies. Check you out soon.